It takes time for a just and fair outcome.
Now at 5, the special prosecutor investigating the deadly IMPD officer shooting of Dre'Jon Reed announces her next move in the case.
We're like any other business or charity. You know, we got to keep the lights on and we got to save animals.
A local humane society hit hard by the pandemic, the impact it's had, and how you can help them out.
All that's left is to wave the green flag as the final practice on Carb Day is in the books. I'm Brad Brown at the Speedway. We'll talk with one of the 8 former champions that are in the field for this year's 500. Coming up on Trackside.
From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 5. Streaming now.
And now at 5, the special prosecutor investigating the May shooting death of Dre'Jon Reed by an IMPD officer is requesting a grand jury.
WRTV reporter Cameron Riddle is live at the State House with the details on how the special prosecutor came to this decision. Cameron.
Good evening. It has been 3 months since Dre'Jon Reed was shot and killed by IMPD officer DeJour Mercer. And now 15 weeks later, the only thing that is really clear is that this story is complicated, even though there are a number of angles and possibilities into what could have happened on May 6th. Today's special prosecutor Rosemary Curry stood on the steps of the State House this afternoon, taking no questions, but saying during this investigation, she has taken every step that she could to ensure that the investigation is thorough, impartial to everything except the facts at hand. She says all parties deserve no less. But even after looking at just the facts and not announcing a conclusion, she believes it is best for a grand jury to decide what comes next.
I believe the grand jury system is the best and final indicator to adhere to the integrity of this investigation that my team and I have striven so hard to maintain. This is a societal issue, a community issue, with many interests and impassioned advocates. But it is the facts presented dispassionately to community members that will determine if there is probable cause to believe that a crime has been committed. I trust the members of our community to do just that.
And we have reached out to city leaders at City Hall as well as members of IMPD for a reaction to today's announcement, but so far have not heard back. We also did reach out to the law firm representing the family of Dre'Jon Reed, the law firm of Fatima Johnson. They tell us they may release a statement later, and if they do get that out, we will have it for you right here. Coming up tonight at 6, though, you will hear from a Black Lives Matter protester who had just got the news and is reacting to what she heard. You'll hear that for the first time coming up tonight at 6. We're live at the State House. I'm Cameron Riddle, WRTV.
Cameron, thank you for that live report. And it is race weekend in Indianapolis, finally. And while there will be no fans at the track, the forecast is just as important as it always is. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory with that. Hey, Kevin.
And what a day today. Will carry some of that momentum into the weekend, Amanda. I'm starting with a broad view to show you the rain down in Kentucky and Tennessee. There's a chance for some weekend showers and thunderstorms. It's never an overwhelming chance, and it's more likely south and east of Indy. Can always stare at that view from the pagoda looking toward the first turn at the Motor Speedway. Temperatures, they're in the lower 80s in most locations. From the green flag at the track to the whistle out on the high school fields this evening. Beautiful night for high school football. Kickoff temperatures will be in the low 80s. The wind will be light. There's your weekend forecast. We do start to warm things up. Chance of rain a little higher Saturday than on race day Sunday. We'll have more finer details coming up.
And just a little over 48 hours until a new champion is crowned at the Indy 500, and the weekend will be a lot less hectic for the 33 drivers with none of the extra events taking place around race day. But Carb Day, even with no fans at the track, still turned into a busy session. Brad Brown has a recap.
Well, it's hard to have picked a better day to be here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It would have been great to have tens of thousands out here on Carb Day, but given the situation, it was good to see some cars on the track as well. Brad Brown here with you at the Speedway for our final weekday WRTV trackside segment as the final practice is wrapped up for this 104th edition of the Indy 500. A very busy afternoon, more than 2,500 laps turned, all 33 cars on the track for this one. They got right to it at 11 a.m., and it was a steady session with a lot of cars working in traffic, working on pit stops. This final opportunity to really piece together the little details that are going to make every bit of difference, really no matter where you start in the field come race day Sunday. We take a look at the quick six on the afternoon. It was actually Pato O'Ward, one of the rookies, leading the way at over 225 miles an hour. But then you get a look at some of the favorites on race day up there as well. Scott Dixon, Alexander Rossi, Takuma Sato, the next three. A lot of guys over 222 miles an hour. That will likely be about the race pace when they get going in traffic at the start of action on Sunday.
I think it's just been really important to try and get the best car under us for race day. I think traffic running is going to be key. It's going to be my first 500, but from just feeling out practice and everything, you know, it's so important to have a car that's able to follow closely and be able to get runs on people.
Felt really good. There was a bit of a strange time, I think, through that session with maybe about 30 minutes to go that we kind of lost the balance a little bit and kind of figured out what was wrong and got the car going again. But yeah, you know, we started with just a short list of things that we kind of wanted to get through, and you know, we did that. A lot of those were improvements, which was good.
Coming up tonight on the news at 6, Dave First and Tony Kanaan will be here to talk more about TK's Carb Day and a look ahead to race day on Sunday. At the Speedway, Brad Brown, WRTV Trackside.
Brad, thanks. And since you can't be inside the track this year on race day, WRTV will be there to bring you the sights and sounds Sunday morning. Join Brad, Dave First, and Rafael Sanchez Sunday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. live on Facebook and WRTV.com. We will be inside and outside the track, bringing you driver interviews along with photo and video vlogs to get you ready for the greatest spectacle in racing. And one other note, a drivers meeting is always held the day before the race. That will still happen tomorrow, and you are invited to watch online. And join the virtual drivers meeting live from Pagoda Plaza starting at 10 a.m. at IMS.com.
The reason we're having race weekend in August is because of the pandemic. So let's get to today's coronavirus numbers as provided by the state. Today's number of new positive cases has climbed over 1,000 again, the highest number of this 5-day period. Those cases recorded between last Friday and yesterday. The total number now tops 84,300, but the overall positivity rate remains at 8.8%. 13 more Hoosiers have died from COVID-19. Those deaths occurred between August 8th and yesterday. The overall number of deaths so far in Indiana is nearly 3,000. Tonight, a family in Mooresville wants to see changes to the state's policy when it comes to students returning to school. Their child was sent home after showing COVID-19 symptoms, but then received a negative COVID-19 test result. WRTV's Nicole Griffin is taking a closer look at the state guidance and finding out what parents should know if their child ends up in a similar situation.
Less than 2 weeks into the new school year at Newby Memorial Elementary School in Mooresville, third grader William and his younger brother Bradley are now isolating at home for 10 days. It comes after William was sent to the nurse's office Monday because he was coughing. Both boys were tested at a drive-through Community Health Network site, and results came back 2 days later as negative. Michael Denny, the boy's father, believes William was coughing because he washed his mask with laundry detergent and fabric softener that he is allergic to. But in order to return to school, they must have a doctor's note stating there's an alternate diagnosis.
The biggest problem that we've run into with this is that as soon as a kid is labeled as potentially having COVID symptoms, the doctor's office will not do an in-person visit. We basically, as soon as the nurse at the school says, I think that it could potentially be COVID, all bets are off. They're out of school. And I mean, what about a kid that has allergies? You go out and you play recess and you come back in and you're sneezing.
Most urgent cares, as soon as I explain the situation to them, they say no, even though we have negative COVID tests, because the risk of it being a false positive is too great.
A spokeswoman for Mooresville Schools tells WRTV they are following guidelines from the Indiana State Department of Health. The guidance states if a student has a cough, fever, or headache, and the student gets tested and it's negative, there is a 30% chance of having a false negative test. Therefore, that student is required to isolate at home for at least 10 days without an alternative explanation from the doctor. Working for you, Nicole Griffin, WRTV.
The district spokeswoman says in this week's webinar for the schools from the State Department of Health, it was mentioned they are looking for updated guidance from the CDC when it comes to requiring a doctor's note plus a negative test. A Community Health Network spokeswoman says symptomatic patients can be seen at MedCheck locations.
The pandemic is taking a major toll on some humane societies and animal shelters in the area as they lose donors and have to cancel fundraising events. In Hamilton County, they are bracing for a $250,000 loss because of it. WRTV's Megan Sanctorum explains how the organization plans to still move forward and how you can help.
These are some of the faces of animals relying on the Humane Society of Hamilton County. Staff and volunteers are working hard to keep them happy and healthy until they find a forever home. But that's becoming increasingly difficult as donations drop. Leaders here say they had to cancel a major fundraising event due to safety concerns with the coronavirus. They will also be closing their retail store, saying people just aren't shopping there like they were before the pandemic. In total, the Humane Society in Hamilton County is looking at about $250,000 in lost revenue just this year. That's money that would go toward things like operating expenses and medical care for animals.
The way we do that is fundraising. That's how we survive here. So, anytime we see someone drop off or we have to cancel an event, that's a huge hit. We have to figure out other ways to recoup that money, and it's difficult.
They're not the only shelter dealing with this. Leaders at the Humane Society in Johnson County say they're seeing the same thing.
Have to balance on that. Is it really appropriate to be asking people in this atmosphere, economic and business-wise, if they could sponsor or an event or even make a donation? I think everybody is kind of feeling that pinch.
But leaders at both say they'll continue to look for alternate sources of funding, and they're asking those who can help financially to do so. Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, WRTV.
And a new facility is in the works for the Hamilton County Humane Society. Leaders say money for that had already been set aside and the project will move forward as planned. We will have links to how you can help support both shelters at WRTV.com.
It is still incredibly high, but Indiana's unemployment rate continues to fall as more Hoosiers return to work during the pandemic. The Department of Workforce Development reported today that July's rate was 7.8%. That's a drop of 3.3% from last month, and yet another monthly decline from April's high of 17.5%. To give some perspective here, Indiana's rate was 3.2% in March, before the numbers started reflecting layoffs and losses from the pandemic. Still ahead on WRTV on this race weekend, a son shares fond memories of his racing father gone too soon and the legacy he leaves.
And the red out west shows where it's red hot. We'll talk about our summer heat returning coming up.
Welcome back. One of the memories stirred on Sunday when Marco Andretti won the pole for Sunday's race was that of his cousin, John Andretti. He started in 12 Indy 500s, but he had colon cancer and died in January. WRTV Sports Director Dave First talked to his son Jarrett about family, friends, and giving back.
It's not hard to find a memory or two of John Andretti from his Stinger project on display at the airport to the Check It for Andretti colonoscopy stickers on Michael Andretti's cars, whether it's Alexander Rossi's or Reinhardt Ray's, to Marco Andretti's helmet displaying Cousin John's old font logo. John's son Jarrett sees it all as well.
I would assume over the last couple of years, you and your dad would talk a lot about the 500 as it was approaching.
Yeah, we watched. I was there last year, and obviously we were a little bit disappointed when Alexander wasn't able to win. Obviously, he drove as hard as he could.
Yeah, they're due, obviously, too, this year. So, you know.
I think Dad's going to be helping him as much as he can.
Jarrett's career is just as fast-paced. You might see him on a dirt track one week or in a sports car the next.
What do you miss about your dad?
I mean, I honestly just miss talking to him.
John and Jarrett had big dreams, wanting to be teammates again in sports car racing, the way they did at the Rolex 24 in 2012. But time was becoming an issue.
There was times I was testing a sports car once in the winter of 2018 for a good buddy of ours named David Tilton. And he was trying to move his port while we were at the racetrack. And he was like, I think I can move it, and then I can get the belt on right here. And he goes, I don't think your mom would like that. I said, look, I'm not going to tell my mom. I'm not going to tell anybody if you get in that race car and drive it. He wanted to drive so bad, and that was the pinnacle for him, is just driving. And so we would have loved to have been teammates.
John's battle came to an end in January. The funeral in town was held on a cold, rainy day, one that didn't end until the procession happened to turn a lap at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It was about memories for Jarrett.
I remember rolling into Speedway the first time with him. I was in like in 8th grade. Every other time he got in, he drove. But he was like, you know, this was a big deal, you know, and that to me really stuck out to me.
Slow and poignant, with the scoring pylon lit up, all arranged by Speedway president Doug Bowles.
It was funny because Doug asked me, I said, you know, would you like to get out and kiss the bricks? And this was probably 3 or 4 hours after Dad had actually passed, and I was on the phone, and I could hear Dad goes, no, only winners get to kiss the bricks. You know, I could hear him, and I said, nope. I said, nope, Doug. Dad would have not won, you know, he wouldn't want anybody to get out. And I think the place that meant the most to him was only fitting for him to take the final lap at. And the rain and all the other things that go along with it, you know, just made it, you know, that much more maybe somber.
It's a career that took him from sprint cars to kart.
And the Gold Coast IndyCar Grand Prix goes to John Andretti.
From Cup to a cause. Here's the thing, you haven't heard the last of John Andretti.
Race for Riley rolls on, and your dad would have it no other way, right?
No.
Jarrett is carrying on John's work at Riley, his hospital visits, his karting event now approaching year 24, and of everything he's done, perhaps this is what means the most.
Just the amount of people that after Dad passed, the amount of Riley kids that reach out sometimes weekly to me. And hey, how are you doing? What's going on? You know, how can I pray for you? And it's like, how can I pray for you? Like, it's like one of those things that they're so caring.
Jarrett's goal is to help Race for Riley climb over the $5 million mark. There's little doubt that racing's loss has been real this year, but a lasting tribute to a true champion is even more so.
It's quite a legacy when you think about it, you know?
Yes. And everybody's volunteered, and they're all dedicated to making this thing grow and continuing it for the years to come.
John was a very good man, and that was Dave First reporting. John is also Marco Andretti's godfather. Pretty sure he'll be on his shoulder Sunday, starting on the pole and taking those laps right alongside with him.
Man, that is a great story from Dave, and some wonderful memories of John that we got to see there. Thanks, guys. So, Kevin, it is finally race weekend as we're talking here, and the forecast is always important for the drivers and for whoever's going to be on the track.
And for a 2.5-mile oval, the forecast is important, right? Every turn, 16th and Georgetown. We'll get to that in a second. Everything seems to be working in our favor. Certainly, the odds are much greater that we'll be dry than wet. The sun-drenched Motor Speedway today. The shadows grow long at this hour. And you can see the scoring pylon there, kind of on the right side of your screen. Bloomington, 83. Temperatures fairly consistent. The clouds that have been increasing are coming from rain well to the south down in Kentucky and Tennessee. The chance for rain will be greatest over eastern and areas southeast of Indianapolis during the weekend. Notice those 2 small thunderstorm chances, and as we go into next week, we'll be drying out and we'll be on a dry stretch, and we haven't hit 90 degrees in almost 4 weeks. That will change next week, and I think we'll put several days together where temperatures go into the 90s, plural, should make it to the lower 90s. Temperatures generally upper 50s to low 60s, a little bit warmer overnight tonight. Tomorrow, a mixture of clouds and sunshine, a dry morning, 78 by 11 a.m. Later in the afternoon, after 4 o'clock, the chance for isolated thunderstorms, especially east and southeast of Indy. Temperatures hit 85 for the afternoon high. The humidity will climb over the next several days. It will be a humid week and a warm week next week. Temperatures well above average for this time of year. Notice western Indiana tomorrow warmer than southeastern portions of the state, again because of the cloud cover, and I think the showers and thunderstorms in the southeastern portion of the state. You're more likely to stay dry north and west of Indy. Here's the latest model run, 4 o'clock, some showers and thunderstorms around Cincinnati, and notice how they pinwheel back in. That's 7 o'clock in the evening, say Seymour to Greensburg to Richmond. There's your hourly forecast on race day Sunday. 86 will be the high. The chance of any thunderstorms just 20%. Temperatures by Monday up to 89, and the unveiling. Temperatures Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, all at 90 or above. Notice the overnight lows, a couple of those mornings will be in the low 70s. If you like 90-degree heat, your wait is almost over. Have a good weekend. We'll be right back after this.
Work began today to begin repairs on a downtown landmark. Scaffolding went up around the iconic Ellis Ayres clock at the corner of Washington and Meridian Streets. This will allow 2 local craftsmen to reach the 8-foot-tall, 10,000-pound clock that is in need of additional repairs. The clock has been there since 1936. It went through a first round of repairs in 2016. Now it needs round 2 to ensure it keeps time for years to come. There are leaks that need to be addressed, and issues related to the bronze case will be remedied. Now the plan is to have the clock repaired in time to welcome the return of the cherub on Thanksgiving Eve. The cherub sits on the clock to watch over holiday shoppers. Well, still ahead on the news at 5:30, giving the gift of life, the kindness of strangers at record-breaking levels that's giving others a second chance at life. We'll be right back.